It could have gone terribly wrong.
It's like giving you a compliment and taking it away at the same time.
It's my mother's specialty. Kathryn Eisman for Sunrise.
Oh my God, that's good. That's rich.
As an actor, how fun is it to get to play two versions of the same character?
It was incredibly fun, you know. It was a challenge, and you know, we all viewed it as such. It was never like, oh man, how do I do this? It was, man, what do I do next, and how do I make it happen? And to some extent, it felt like being able to act in two movies.
Yeah.
Because fleshing out each point of view was like one movie. The Wilsons had their movie, and then the Reds had their own movie and their own objectives and their own way of seeing things.
That's so interesting. How do you even film that when you're having these kind of fight scenes with yourself?
Jordan Peele scheduled it really well. You know what I mean? He had doubles for us, and then, you know, we wouldn't usually have to do both sides on one day.
Yeah.
So that made it a lot less stressful, and you could really just focus on the experience as the Wilsons or the Reds. And then sometimes he would do our lines so that we would have something to play against. And then we'd go on the other side and made sure the previous day we made bold choices that we could react to. So it was actually a lot easier with the right help. And Jordan Peele created the right help and circumstances for us to do the best work.
So for people who, you know, are trying to get their head around the others, you know, the shadows, you know, the tethered, tell us, like, who are they? What do they represent?
To be honest with you, they represent our own legacies, the things that we create ourselves, you know. The cultures of power and privilege that we lead also have resonating like effects elsewhere, and you are indelibly tied to that, right? You are tied to it. They are tethered to you, you know.
So it's kind of like, is it kind of like the dark side of who we are?
I wouldn't say it's really the dark. You know, they are shadows because essentially we live in a world where we question and make monsters out of things that are approachable and that you can touch. You know, you make monsters out of your immigrants that, you know, I mean, who's here to take our jobs, and you know, they're this, they're that, they're terrible, you know. Or you make monsters out of, you know, you're underprivileged. Oh, they're there to rob, or they're freaks, you know. Or, you know, you make monsters out of all these things, and as a result of doing that, they're also tied to you, you know, because that's your choice. So how do you participate in that? And what if that showed up at your door?
It's interesting. Your character offers the kind of comic relief in the midst of the horror. Is it hard to keep a straight face when you have this hilarious line in the middle of a bloodbath?
Sometimes it's not really even gone into it as a hilarious line. It's really taking the scenario and the circumstance incredibly serious.
Yeah.
And then it just comes out funny because...
It comes out funny.
Yeah, it just happens funny because, you know, you understand what it's there to do. It's the function. I really laid into and leaned into the function of Gabe Wilson. He's there as the clown, but the clown is a truth teller, right? The clown is also the audience. The clown gets to say what everyone else can't. And really leaning into that function helped.
Last question is, Jordan Peele has become this very important new writer and director. Obviously he's won his Oscars, but I think he's become like a cultural, social kind of commentator. What's he like on set?
He's a listener.
Yeah.
He listens a lot more than he speaks. He's an ally. And I think that's just the best way to be a collaborator and an artist, is you're always taking in. And you value other people's perspectives and point of view. So it was always a space that you also felt a great onus on the project because you were welcomed into it as such. He didn't hire us to just learn lines. He hired us to collaborate in a piece. And I think that's what you got.